So let's look at the market briefing for XAU. So you know the drill. We go to daily and see where the market is coming from and what it has been doing, where it's heading to, and the rest. And as the market is coming from this demand zone, the reaction of this demand zone was almost 1 month. This reaction is always 1 month. This demand zone, it gave us an engineered liquidity. Yeah. So where is the market heading to? Where is XAU heading to? And the major place it's heading to is this, because you can see a very, very good supply zone on this particular level. This is a very good supply zone. So definitely, if we get to this, to use this as our inducement, and maybe we'll get a little sell before we continue the major move. But remember, where the market is coming from is more important than where you feel it will reverse from. So always take note of this. Since the market is coming from a daily demand zone, it should have more momentum to push up till it gets here. So as it stands now, basically tell you that XAU is a bullish pair. You can see another sweep before there was a break to the upside. After this break, we had a retest. So let's go to 4 hours. So you could see where it came back to. That is why it's very important to know when to set your break even. You can imagine someone that entered at this particular zone here and went ahead to set break even. The market will still come back, take the person out and push up. So it's very important to always set your break even at the lowest possible zone that caused a big move, which is here. To set your stop loss rather and allow your stop loss to play out. Allow your trade to play out to a particular place before you start talking about setting break even on the rest. So from 4 hours, you could say if you're a trade line trader, you basically see that XAU broke this trade line to the upside. After it broke this trend line, it retraced to 50% of the FVG that was created. You see the fair value gap here. It traded to the 50% and started moving. So go to base trend lines too. Some of the time, the base trend line. Wow, let's go. So this one, if you're a trend line trader, this is a very beautiful entry for you. Then as you can see, gold lost fair value gap. Rotates to 50% of this fair value gap here. Then what made us lose our entry yesterday is we are waiting for it to come back to this demand zone. But what did it do? It came to this fair value gap, although it did not fully mitigate the fair value gap. It just tapped on the fair value gap, as you can see, and it started pushing up. It did not mitigate it. So that's why the momentum wasn't that much. I feel it should still come back to try and mitigate it. But let's just go, let's flow and see where the market structure leads us. So we had the sweep of this zone. We have the major change of character break as well to the upside. You know what we call it. Then where is gold reacting to? Where is gold reacting to at this time? It's reacting to this demand. Reacting to this demand because if you look to this supply, rather, pardon me, please, as a breakout structure here, another break to the downside. Then this zone swept this high, then gave us another internal breakout structure. So this is a valid, all this zone you're seeing here is a valid supply. So this is a weak supply zone, like weak, WICK supply zone. So this is where it's reacting to. So let's hope it takes out this low here. But remember, like I told you, it's more important to know how the zone market is coming from rather than where it will reverse from. So because of where this market is coming from, it makes this zone to be null and void in the sense that it might react, but it will not be able to push market down fully. So like I said yesterday, if you are in yesterday's slide, you notice that I said that good also plays out very well when it comes to flip zone. And I gave an illustration of the flip zone. So basically, that is what I feel God is forming here. That's what I feel it's forming here. Although flip zones are not high priority. So if you're trading flip zones, you have to be careful. But as you can see, there is this. You have this here, a break of structure. This is not fully mitigated. There's no efficiency here. There's no efficiency here. So what should we expect? We should also expect gold to either trade into this zone and keep on going. That is the first zone I'm looking at. This flip zone. That is the first zone I'm looking at. So I should see a confirmation on lower time frame for this for me to buy because it is a very, very valid flip zone that aligns with 50% of the fair value gap. You can see it aligns perfectly with 50% of the fair value gap. So this flip zone is a very important area for me to pay attention to. Very, very important area. So if it happens, I go to my lower time frame, but that's just for that. Another areas that I'm looking at on this same 4 hours is, let's go to this zone, which is kind of not realistic. This is another demand. And this is also another demand. So because of this demand is very close to this flip zone, I would only trade this flip zone on a confirmation, a very, very valid confirmation. Because most of the times, what gold does is it might just drop with a wick into the nearest demand to the flip zone. It will drop with a wick, then close above this flip zone and start going up. So that's why you have to wait for a confirmation within these zones before you start talking of buying. So this is the first zone I'm looking at. Then this zone and this. Because if you take a look at the last swing that happened, let's just say the last swing, the large measure swing. You notice that all these things we are talking about, all these areas we are talking about is still within the demand zone. All these areas we are talking about is still within the demand zone. So let's see how good plays out. Let's see how it plays out. Yeah. So these are the two major areas we are looking at. Remember, you always confirm with lower time frame. Go to your lower time frame, follow the market. As the market is dropping like this, you follow the structure of the market as it's dropping until it gets to your zone. If it gets to your zone and gives you a reversal, then you're good to play. That is it for XAU.